Hey everyone, alright, so this is going to be a review of the new Warner Brothers animated DC film, Batman Soul of the Dragon. It's recently just come out on Blu-ray and DVD over here in the UK. So what this is, it's an Elseworlds tale, and it's a love letter, essentially, to the martial arts scene of the 1970s. So it's very influenced by things like Enter the Dragon, and there's also blaxploitation elements in there as well. Something like Shaft is, you can see elements of that in this, and also the Bond films of the 1970s they really have some strong Bond vibes in here. The opening sequence, for instance, is like something out of a Bond film. And then they follow that up with this real Bond style opening title sequence. So that was a really cool aspect of this. So set in the 70s, it's centres around, the plot of this film centres around a group of religious fanatics known as the Cobra Cult, and they worship this serpent god or serpent demon, depending on how you look at it, and they're searching for this mystical gateway that they can open and grant access to this demon serpent. You know, they'll allow it to cross over into our world. So there's this gateway that they're looking for, and there's this mystical sword that they need, and basically the idea is you perform a human sacrifice with this sword, and then you plunge the sword into the gate, and then that'll open it. So how Bruce Wayne figures into all of this: when he was younger, rather than going and training with the League of Shadows as he does in a lot of iterations of the story, he travels to Asia, and he travels high up into the mountains, and he finds a temple. It's very remote, you know, it's basically, lesser men wouldn't have made it there. You wouldn't even know it was there, but obviously Bruce Wayne finds it, and he is taken in there by the sensei there, who's voiced by James Hong, who plays, of course, famously David Lopan in Big Trouble in Little China. And there he meets the other students. There's a character called Richard Dragon, voiced by Mark Dacascos, who was in John Wick 3 most recently, and his character is essentially a Bruce Lee cipher. He's very much a Bruce Lee inspired character. So there's Richard Dragon, there's Lady Shiva, who's voiced by Kelly Hu of course played Lady Deathstrike in X2, X-Men United, and she was also with The Rock in The Scorpion King. She played the sorceress in that. So there's Kelly Hu as Lady Shiva, there's Mark Dacascos as Richard Dragon, and then the third student who Bruce Wayne befriends is a guy who they refer to as Bronze Tiger. Now he is essentially our Bruce Lee, our Jim Kelly character. So obviously you have your Bruce Lee character, you have your almost Lady Snowblood-esque character with Lady Shiva, and then you have the Jim Kelly type character, Bronze Tiger, who is voiced by Michael Jai White. Of course, Michael Jai White, very notable for his martial arts background. He worked a lot with Scott Adkins, you know, on stuff like Accident Man and Triple Threat. So it was really cool to have him involved in this. So you have this group. These are our four main characters, and basically they're trained by James Hong, and he reveals to them about this mystical gateway and the Cobra Cult. And he, as it happens, is in possession of the sword that acts as the key to this gateway. So he entrusts Lady Shiva with the sword, and obviously, you know, this is yours, guard it with your life, make sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, otherwise it could potentially spell doom for all of mankind. So eventually the years pass, and they graduate from the temple, and they all go their separate ways. Obviously Bruce Wayne becomes the Batman. Lady Shiva actually becomes a crime boss, and she runs these underground kumites. She's basically the most feared crime boss, and she is actually based in Gotham, as it happens. So it's left Bruce Wayne with a bit of a moral dilemma there. You know, obviously I'm taking down crime in Gotham, but obviously Lady Shiva, we go back a long way, you know, and I know she's a honourable person, so where does that leave me? Richard Dragon has become an international spy, would you believe? And Bronze Tiger spent years working as a mercenary, actually hunting down and eliminating members of the Cobra Cult, but he gave all that up and come back home, and he's basically opened up his own dojo. Because when we meet him initially, way back when, he was, you know, he was quite a troubled individual. He'd had a troubled childhood, you know, he'd had a rough time of it. So obviously what he's doing now is he's offering that lifeline, I suppose you could say, to, you know, the same kids that were in his position as he was. You know, he's basically paying it forward, you know. So that's where they are when all this kicks off, because basically the Cobra Cult finally re-emerges, and obviously they've tracked down the gate, and now they just need the sword. So Bruce Wayne, Lady Shiva, Bronze Tiger and Richard Dragon have to, you know, reunite and stop the Cobra Cult from unleashing, you know, basically bringing the apocalypse down on our head. So it really is a blast, this one, and it's so different, you know, seeing them play around with that 1970s martial arts backdrop. They have a lot of fun with the 70s setting, you know, in terms of the dialogue. The soundtrack's great, but it's a lot of fun, and it's one of the really cool things about the Warner Brothers animation. You know what they've done with their animated DC films, you know, stuff like Justice League Dark, that was an absolute blast. And one of the things about that one, it was really over the top and really outlandish, you know, not designed to be taken seriously. And there's parts of this one, Soul of the Dragon, that really do tap into that sort of territory, and they have the similar vibe to it. So that was that really added to the enjoyment. You know, each of the four characters, by the way, even though it's a Batman movie, it really is a team movie. You know, all four of the characters get their opportunity to shine, have the moment. You know, it's and the group dynamic between the four is really, really good, and there's some cool action set pieces, of course, as you would hope from something that's supposed to be a love letter to 70s martial arts films. But yeah, this is a damn good time, a really quick sit as well, 85 minutes. It's really in out, put the kettle on. So it's a blast from start to finish, you know, from that opening Bond style sequence through to the climactic final battle where they come face to face with the leader of the Cobra Cult. It's really, really entertaining. So that wraps this up. If you've seen it yourself, please feel free to share your thoughts on it. We'd love to generate some discussion about this one. And if you had seen it advertised, because they did have a panel, you know, at the Comic-Con Brazil, CCXP. That was actually one of the best things about that Comic-Con, the panel that they had for Soul of the Dragon. So if you'd heard of it and were debating whether or not to check it out, I hope this has helped in some way. But yeah, feel free to share your thoughts. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I always appreciate it, and I will see you all next time. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.